You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, our friends at the Glebe Central Pub, the GCP, where the vibes are free. 779 Bank Street. Check out the Sens shuttle, $18 round trip. The vibes are immaculate in Sens land. How quick things change. A beatdown, belt to caps. Ottawa scores 3 times in a matter of minutes and swings the game on its head in the second period. There was a Linus Ullmark fight. The power play was red hot. The penalty kill was perfect. Pilsy, that was what the doctor ordered.
This was an absolute clinic, Ross. I said on Friday's episode, I want a puck line win. Enough with these one goal, miraculous comebacks up against Tampa. Enough of the squeaking out a shootout win up against Seattle. Enough of being okay with an overtime loss or a regulation win up against the Philadelphia Flyers. How about a 7-1 beat down on the Eastern Conference leaders of last year? I called them frauds, Ross, on the episode, and I meant it. These guys are absolute frauds. Alex Ovechkin, big 1,500 NHL game. He's going to get his 900th up against the Sens, a milestone game. It's going to be a beautiful night in the capital of Washington, D.C. Yeah, Sonk. The Ottawa Senators get the 7-1 win, and I know second half of a back-to-back where the Caps had to travel. But hey, you got to be smart like the Ottawa Senators. They get to Washington early. They chill, watch the Blue Jays get a big game, game one win in the World Series. Then they come and they get the 7-1 win on their own here. So that was just an absolutely amazing game. We got so much to get into. It is a Vibecast. The first, let me be the first to announce, the first true Vibecast of this season. I feel like that's fair. Jack?
Absolutely, boys. That was a beatdown, like you guys mentioned. Not just that it's a bad team that they beat. Like the game against the Flyers, yeah, it's back-to-back wins. But against the Flyers, it was just, okay, let's just shut it down after a 2-1 lead here against the bad team you're supposed to beat. I was honestly a little bit disappointed coming out of that one because I wanted a bit more, even though they got the 2 points. But tonight was fun. The big boys came to play. The power play came to life. Linus Ullmark was the least busy I've ever seen Linus Ullmark until a scrum behind the net. There's a lot to get into, but I think that was just a perfect game, a get-right game for the Sens. And like you mentioned, against a Caps team that you expect to beat, they were good games last season, but they were the best team in the Eastern Conference last year, and the Sens just took it to them on the road. Impressive performance and exactly what we needed to see back to 500.
Team building, not just because it was point night and we'll get to some standout performances, but the fact that they stood up for each other as well. Tom Wilson ran over Ridley Gregg in the first period of this game, and nobody overreacted in the moment and cost the team the instigator. Clevin said, you want to play physical? We'll play physical on your guys as well. And he stepped up and stepped into a big K-train choo-choo hit, and it was money from there. Obviously, tempers boiled over with Charlie Lindgren. He was upset how the Shane Pinto goal went in, then ended up counting. I think he should have a chat with his defenseman, Jacob Chikrin, about pushing guys into the goaltender. I've been told that from a young age, you learn that you don't do that. because there's no penalty. And in this case, a goal for the Ottawa Senators and a power play for the failed challenge. So, Pillsy, we saw Brady Tkachuk at morning skate. You don't often see guys a week out of surgery on the road with the boys. And to me, that leadership translated to what we saw on the ice, was standing up for each other. Ullmark not letting that be an odd-numbered scrap behind the net. It was just a huge win on the scoreboard and in the alleyways.
Yeah, let's be honest, this team needed to get their swagger back. They had no swag, no confidence. Even the games they won, they barely won them, like we already covered. So to not only beat a good team in regulation, but to just destroy them, like that Batherson goal, his second one, that was a sick goal. And he's like, oof, not going to sell you that. We're kind of embarrassing them here. Like that would have been a goal that normally, especially he's finally getting on the score sheet scoring. Like he would have had a nice big selly for that. But it's just, hey, we don't want to embarrass them too bad in their own barn here. So, and the physicality to match just made that all the better. And it was kind of funny after that Clevin hit. Did you guys see McDermott grab Dubois and then he's like, "Oh, nah, you're a skill guy. I'll leave you be there." And that was the end of that. That was pretty much the only McDermott highlight. Nice to see him get into a game here and not mess anything up.
I don't know if nice to get in is the right way to put it. Taking the guy who scored the game-winning goal the previous appearance.
I would love to hear Travis Green's decision on that one. But hey, if you're going to get Curtis McDermott in and you get a 7-1 win, I got bad news for you, Ross. A coach is not going to switch a winning lineup. We're going to see a whole lot more of our favorite Ottawa Senators skater.
Want to hear a fun fact?
Yes.
Curtis McDermott was -1 tonight.
No way.
Dang it.
Oh, boy.
But he was in the right place at the right time. He's the only player on the Ottawa Senators that was and
there's something to it, though.
This is almost prophetic. Prophetic. The two players that fans have been the hardest on, -1 in a 7-1 win tonight. Nick Jensen and Curtis McDermott. Yeah.
I mean,
That's crazy. It was -1. Hey, right place at the right time, though, for standing up for Clevin.
I got nothing. And I was on the radio today. I was listening to Dean and Gord all night. So I can't really tell you. The way you can tell on the radio, it's been a while since I've sat through a whole game just on the radio, TSN 1200. Legends, Dean and Gord, by the way. But first time in a while. And you can usually tell if a guy's having a good night by the amount of times the announcers say their name. And I heard McDermott's name the one time in that scrum. But look, I think there's something to it. If they've got a guy like that in the lineup, you're playing the Caps. They've got Tom Wilson. They've got some bigger bodies on that team.
Protas.
Like they've got some big boys. And without Tkachuk there, man, like that hit by Wilson on Ridley Gregg, like you never know. Things could get out of hand. And then you're sitting there, why is Curtis McDermott up in the press box? So I think even if he doesn't have a huge impact on the ice, it gives the boys some juice. And I think that as far removed as we are from hockey being not a tough guy sport like that anymore, that matters still to the guys on the team, especially when Tkachuk is out. So I think get him in there as much as you can, because if they're playing like that, that's a no-brainer to me. Because it hurts taking Luxell out, who had a great game winner on Saturday on home ice, nonetheless. But I think it's a good move, and one that I think we should expect to see throughout the season. Maybe even against Boston on Monday, like that kind of thing. I really would expect McDermott to play. I don't know what he's going to do on the ice specifically, but it gives the boys some juice, then it's absolutely worth it 10 out of 10 times.
Oh, how quickly things change. The Ottawa Senators all of a sudden are 3-1-1 in their last 5 games and have picked themselves up off the proverbial mat after that 8-4 loss to the Buffalo Sabres. We haven't even discussed in detail Linus Ullmark's adventure tonight. And how about Dylan Cousins and Drake Batherson? So many great performances, Sens Central standouts, and more. This is the postcast presented by Locked On Senators.
Today's postcast is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Hockey season is here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be honest, guys, sometimes getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives the fan the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. We got our tickets for the home opener on Game Time. It was so simple. Great seats in minutes. I love that what you see is what you pay. Nothing worse than thinking you get a great deal, then you head to checkout and it's not the deal you were promised. They got zone deals, game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, guys, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Oh.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them. It's just stress. I'm tired. And everything happens every once in a while. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, so no awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment will ship discreetly straight to your door. It's fast, simple, and private, and it's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rougiette.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use that promo code LockedOnNHL so they know that we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. You can follow us below in the description. I don't even think I introduced us off the top of the show, Pillsy. I was so fired up. Do you remember if I did?
No, I have no clue. I mean, we have people watching. We got our name tags here. Everybody knows our voices, so I think you're okay there.
No new listeners tonight? You don't think any Caps fans want to say hello?
No, I don't think so. Well, maybe.
Not tonight, man. It started great. Sens opened the scoring for the second time this season. Pillsy, walk me through your emotions as you saw that cross the goal line. Dylan Cousins on a tip in 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it was just so refreshing to see the Ottawa Senators take the lead. And it was, a minute and a half into the game. Just a good O-zone possession. Perron curling back to the blue line, being patient with it, slides it over to Zub. And Zub has really upped his offensive instincts this season, in my opinion, because that was such a perfectly placed shot for Dylan Cousins to get that tip. And sure, you got to have a good stick on Dylan Cousins to make that go top cheese. But if you watch that replay, Zub, like that wasn't like I'll send it on net. Hopefully someone will get a piece of it. That was a perfectly placed pass shot that he knew Dylan Cousins was going to get the tip on. So I love the way that first goal looked.
I got to be honest, Billsy, I'm not taking anything away from Zub. To me, that's all Dylan Cousins. And again, I was on the radio. I'm going to keep mentioning that every single time I talk about a play tonight because it's so much different. You don't give credit, like you don't even think about it. But then when you're listening to the game and they describe deflection in the high slot, you see the replay, deflecting it on your backhand at the top of the circles like that is not an easy play for Dylan Cousins to make. I'm not doubting that Zub saw him. Great pass, great play. I don't know if Zub's firing that to make him tip it because that's a really skilled goal by Dylan. It
was going to miss very wide otherwise.
It was
maybe Travis Hamonic would have thought that was a good shot on net, but I don't know.
So yeah, but I love Zub obviously identifying that, making that pass, and then Cousins, man, like just what a game by Dylan Cousins, and he's had such a great start to the season, just off to a blistering start goal scoring wise, and it's not surprising because this is the player he was, but that goal I think is the nicest one he scored this season. But then the power play one a bit later, little dipsy do in front of the net, like just a great game from 24, and it's just that three-headed monster boys keep talking about down the middle. Each with on the score sheet. Pinto just had the one goal, I believe. But all three of them just so good tonight. And it's exciting. They're all under the age of 25.
More on those conversations in our Sens Central standouts, but we haven't discussed how this game was won, which was the 3-minute span from the 3-minute mark of the second period to after Nick Cousins scored on a breakaway, a beautiful breakaway goal. And for it to start, and by the way, credit, hey, milestone night for Alex Ovechkin. Everybody give it up for Alex Ovechkin.
Congrats.
Hey, 1,500 NHL games. Good for you, Ovi. 899 goals. That's pretty good. Happy it's staying there tonight. But it was his pass that got intercepted by Shane Pinto at the offensive or defensive for Pinto blue line. He goes in. Chychrun pushes him. The puck slides in as the net's being knocked off. One, were you surprised that it was called a goal initially? And are you even more surprised then, Pilsy, that the Spencer Carberry and the Washington Capitals thought that was worth challenging after the initial review?
Answer A, no, I was not surprised it was called a goal. Answer B, yes, I was surprised Spencer Carberry and his staff challenged it after that. Like, first off, I know maybe this is, you can't always go by this, but I like to think I got a good read on body language. And Pinto, as soon as he's down on the ice, he's pointing. He's like, hey, that was in. That's across the line. That's in. Like, you can tell by players' reactions. Like, I feel like their genuine instinct reactions will give you a good sense of whether this goal is going to count or not. Like, otherwise, Pinto would have been like, dang, I got crashed into the net, no goal. He just skates off, right? I feel like that's fair. Obviously, you're going to try to embellish in a way that favors you, but in the immediate reaction, you can see it. And Chychrun doesn't put up much of a fight either. He kind of is like, like that one's a little bit on me. But then when you look at it, it was across the line before the net was off the moorings. Chychrun clearly gives Pinto no opportunity to avoid Lindgren. Like, he's going in fast there, and Chychrun's guiding him, not allowing him to cut across the crease or anything. So that's clear that that's the play. And then for that goal to get reviewed for that long, then Carberry calls a timeout after they called a good goal. Then after the timeout, he challenges it. I don't know. That was a wild decision by me. Like, how often have we seen a goal get reviewed and then all that time after, and then it get overturned from a challenge? Like, if it's going to get overturned from a challenge, what was the point of reviewing it in the first place? Like, you think you get it right on the review. So them taking that long, and they had all those minutes to look at it while it was getting reviewed, while they were doing the timeout. So just a very odd decision there. I think that was Carberry being like, hey, we got to get some momentum on our side. This will be huge for the boys if we get this overturned. And now it's just a 1-0 game rather than 2-0. But it just blows up in his face. It's Sideshow Bob stepping on a rake, and a rake after rake after rake, because that blew the whole game up. It ends up going to 3-0 and then 4-0 shortly after in just a couple minutes. So weird move, in my opinion, to challenge there.
It feels like, Jack, when coaches do that and lose out, almost always, maybe this is anecdotally, I don't have numbers to back it up, but it feels like the power play scores right after.
Yeah, and maybe you make that challenge if you know you have a good PK. I don't know what the Caps PK was looking like coming into tonight, but I know that the goals against wise, they were pretty good so far this year. And I think that, you gotta remember they've got like a little earpiece. I think the coaches do, or the assistant coach does, of a video guy just barking at them, being like, challenge that, like maybe it was a pressure thing, but I think you're right. I think the fact that the Caps had no legs, they had, I think, 2 shots at that point early in the second. It's maybe more of a hope and a prayer, because goalie interference is such a coin toss. We've seen it already this season for the Sens. Like, I knew that was going to count, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it didn't count. Just based on goalie interference. And I think that's a good way to sum it up. But again, the power play is no guarantee afterwards either. Like, you're still banking your team can kill a penalty, 2-goal game, lots of hockey left. But then, like we mentioned, the Sens power play coming to life a little bit. And I think that's just capitalizing on a great opportunity. And then bang, bang, it's 4-0. The Caps have 3 shots to your 4 goals all of a sudden.
That was amazing. And like far into the game, almost midway through the second period.
It was midway through. Ross, you tweeted out with 27 minutes. I had my tweet drafted, and I was watching the clock, waiting for it to hit 10 so I could hit halfway through this game.
Nice. I didn't want to let time get in the way of a good tweet.
And I was willing to risk it, because the halfway through was more of an important stat than 27 minutes for me. But I didn't see your tweet before.
No, but I didn't want it to change, and then my tweet would be obsolete. So I credit you for saying, hey, the content only goes out if it's earned.
Yes, that was my
And it was.
decision. Yeah.
Sens win 7-1. And the photo you see here is that play.
That's a good goal right there. Hockey, the beautiful game.
Game-winning goal. Game-winning goal.
Extremely guilty. He looks guilty. Guilty as charged. Sorry. That was awesome. And then it was just floodgates from that moment on. Sens power play goes 3 for 4. That's the power play, not the opponent's power play. Sens PK goes perfect 2 for 2. And one of them, the more dangerous of the two, is a 4-on-3 where they still were able to eat it all up. Senators get back in the win column, the face-off dot, 61%. Block shots, huge story tonight. Ottawa Senators with 23 of them to only 12 for Washington. It was kind of a different story with hits, 28 for Washington and only 12 for the Ottawa Senators. The expected goals percentage at 5-on-5, 60% in favor of Ottawa. It was just a good old-fashioned beatdown, and there's plenty more to get into, from Sens Central standouts to a couple stats that, well, blew my mind. I already tweeted out at Sens Central, so if you want a sneak peek, go see that, but we'll get to it next. You're listening to the Postcast presented by Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season here, the NHL season is here, and the World Series is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for every kickoff, puck drop, and first pitch with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, you can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you're going to get yourself $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. Ross loves using FanDuel. Jack loves using FanDuel, and you should too, because it fits however you want to bet. They got so many awesome player props, a million options to combine for a same game parlay. Well, maybe not exactly a million, hyperbole there, lots of options, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your Ottawa Senators team win 7-1 or cheering on Canada's team in the World Series. It makes every game a little bit more exciting. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add excitement. So if you're ready to play, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
And as always, the Postcast is brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. Go check them out at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. Great food, awesome drinks, atmosphere to match, and for just $18, you'll get round-trip tickets to and from Ottawa Senators game. The vibes are free at the GCP. Check them out for every Saturday night live music. How about another special night? That's wing night every Monday, and then on Thursdays, cheap tacos. It's all at the GCP, walking distance from Lansdowne at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson. Pillsy, 7-1 win. You get the pick of the litter. Standout for you tonight.
Ooh, okay. Well, if you're coming to me first, I'm going to take the obvious choice, or at least who I think is the obvious choice, and that's Dylan Cousins. Rich Cuz, how about 2 goals, 1 assist, and he almost had the hat trick. He rang one off the post later on in the game. 7 shots on goal, 57.1% in the faceoff dot, 2 blocks, 1 hit, 19 minutes, 44 seconds on ice. Like, Dylan Cousins has arrived, and he's looked like, other than Shane Pinto, arguably the Sens' best player this season. He's just been so consistent every night. He's elite on the power play. He spent time as the team's #1 center for a couple of games there when they stacked that top line. He's been the second line center. He's just all over it, in my opinion. And it's even more hilarious watching back Sabres fans being like, oh man, Sens fans think Dylan Cousins is good. Just wait, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we thought he was good. He might be great. He's getting better and better as he shows up here. So obviously we all know the Josh Norris stuff, but it's great to have Dylan Cousins as a part of this team because he fits in so nicely, and he gives the Ottawa Senators that 1-2 punch between Dylan Cousins and Tim Stützle that they desperately need. If you want to have a successful top 6, starts in the middle, in my opinion, and they've got that now.
I just love the way that he's like more of a presence down low than I think they've had in the past in that position, and that's a great call for your standout in tonight's game. Jack, you're up, buddy.
I'm gonna go with another guy who kind of got his first two of the season this year. I'm gonna go Drake Batherson. Couple garbage time goals maybe for Batherson in the third period there, but talking about that power play, he's a big reason on that power play. Makes a great feed over to Cousins for his second one there in the second period. And when Batherson's going on the power play, it makes their power play good. So he had the one assist on the power play there. He had a couple goals as well in the third period. And I just think that if he's going in that winger spot, he's the consensus top line right winger for them, but he's got to play like it. And I think you kind of forget Clevin a little bit the same way. And I'm not mentioning Clevin as a Sens Central standout, but a couple big hits. But both of those guys missed training camp basically entirely. So they're finally getting their legs under them now. They've played a few games preseason style, and you could kind of feel it with Batherson tonight. So I think that's a big game for him. Any 3-point night for Drake Batherson, he's got to get a mention because when he's producing like that, makes them a bit of a dangerous offensive team, even if it's in garbage time. So I'm going number 19, Drake Batherson.
That's a throwback to the COVID season. 3-point Drake Batherson. He gets it done tonight. And even the last one, especially, it's such a garbage time goal, makes it 7-1, but there's nobody I would have rather to score it. Get that confidence up. His other goal made it 5-0. So it's not like it was a big goal in this game. Either things were already out of reach, but I love how those two as well. And Alfie's Mullet pointed this out in the chat earlier. Like they were split up tonight for the first time in a long time. And then they both produce like that. So it's awesome to see. Dylan Cousins, Drake Batherson, two Sens Central standouts tonight. I'm going to go with Thomas Chabot because it's been an up and down season for him. But I thought tonight was exceptional, not just because he scored to make it 6-1 in the third period, but I thought that his pace was a lot better. His decision-making was quicker. And I just felt like he had a really good night. He was with the blowout. Obviously they're rolling three pairs a lot more. So he was at a more reasonable, manageable 22-24 at 2 blocks in the game, which was a part of the Ottawa's commitment defensively. So just really liked what I saw from Thomas Chabot. So I wanted to give him some love tonight.
And can I do an honorable mention to Artem Zub? 2 assists. I already kind of glazed on that first assist on the first goal, but how about a +4 for Artem Zub? Like he's having a nice year here. And I don't want to get down on Sanderson, but I wouldn't say Sanderson has been that elite defenseman that we've seen the last couple of games. Sure, he's been good. He hasn't been bad by any means, but Artem Zub having that kind of a night, 2 assists +4, you love to see that from number 2.
Oh, I loved so much of tonight's game, and it feels like we could get into it for hours, but let's save some meat for the bone on Monday's show. Cannot wait for that. 7-1, the final score tonight. The shots on goal, 34-13 in favor of the Ottawa Senators. Have a great Victory Monday, everyone, and get out and support the boys at home against the Boston Bruins. It is a GCP shuttle night, and it's going to be a great Atlantic Division atmosphere at the rink, and it's the first of a back-to-back with the Sens in Chicago on Tuesday. So lots of hockey coming up, lots of content here. Locked On Senators postcast after every game. We'll chat with you on Monday morning show. For Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been a Victory Belt to Caps postcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.